Let's begin in Soweto, where that protest over wages has affected services at the Bheki Mlangeni Hospital. Allegations of corruption and nepotism have emerged, with some residents saying they've worked for almost a year at the hospital without being paid. Newzroom Afrika's Karinda Jagmohan following that story for us. Karinda, what update do you have for us this afternoon?
Certainly. Well, after hours of waiting, a member of the hospital has come out to address the workers behind me. And he actually reveals that, in fact, the workers were at the hospital on a volunteer basis, not as general workers under the EPWP program or under any program. The workers say they were promised jobs at this hospital by their local council of Ward 46 in the city of Johannesburg under the guise that they would eventually get a permanent job. This never happened. They were never paid for months. And today, just outside the grounds of the hospital where they've worked as general workers for months now, they're told all of this was voluntary. Now I'm joined by one of the workers who would like to still remain anonymous. Thank you so much for speaking to us, ma'am. You've just heard that the work you did for 12 months was all voluntary and that there is no payment for you. What went through your mind as the department official was telling you?
Yeah, I feel like we've been used, actually, and we've been used in such a way that nobody can accept this. And now they are dwelling to that we are volunteers, not as per promise of our councillor, that he promised us a permanent position. So now it's like our councillor was cooking something out of nothing.
What did the councillor tell you a year ago, just before he brought you here?
Our councillor said we must act as volunteers or EPWPs, hide our identities, and then when there are spaces inside in the hospital, we'll be the first to enter as permanent workers.
Now, have you heard back from the councillor? I understand he was just in this hospital.
No, not yet. I think he's still inside.
So you've given the department 7 days now to come up with some sort of conclusion on what is happening now. But for you, what is the way forward? And how have you survived over the past year without having been paid?
Some of us survived with our child grants and, the piece jobs we are doing, like washing, doing laundries and stuff like that. Some of us, the guys are doing the garden as well. So that's what we survive with. And we came here every Monday to Fridays. Month end, you don't have a thing. Like your kids, you can't buy your kids a packet of snacks. Please.
Thank you for speaking to us, ma'am. So the lady that I speak to and a number of others are left in the dark. They were made various promises by their Ward 46 councillor who was in the hospital earlier speaking to some of the authorities, one of them eventually coming out to say, well, you were never EPWP workers, you were only contracted as volunteers, and that is it. They are now trying to, over the next week, discuss on a way forward for those who were under the guise that they would have been paid for the work they did over 12 months. This is one case where a community trusted their local representative. Some knew him for the past year, others grew up with him. And of course, we are trying to reach out to the council as well as the city of Johannesburg on the process to actually make promises to residents of employment in a provincial facility, one like this Bheki Mlangeni District Hospital. This is quite a twisted tale, and in all of this, Nehawu, one of the unions that have also been on the sidelines watching this, are also speaking about irregularities that have been happening in this hospital as well, allegedly. So the health spokesperson was supposed to be here around midday. He's running a bit late. I've been on the phone with him. So hopefully by about half past one or 2 o'clock, I'll be back to give you another update on what the health department says and really how will this twisted tale where residents trusted a public representative to get a general job has landed into this position where outside the hospital they're told, well, we're not sure if you'll ever be paid.
What an absolutely bizarre story, Karinda, and hopefully we'll get answers, as you say, when that official from the health department does eventually arrive on the scene there. Karinda Jagmohan, thanks very much indeed for that update.